straight down. Yay, hi mat. Make sure your mat feels kind of centered. You can always move it around if you need to. I also double them up sometimes to make like a viscera Pisces. You know, with that look, it's really kind of fun. So let's go ahead and play with the leg loops a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna bring the leg loop to my ankle in just one foot. And we're gonna feel the difference in the engagement because it's, you know, it's an experiential universe, so this is actually how we learn. So Scarlett, I want you to really try to stay engaged here. So if we don't engage our arms, we start to look like the scarecrow, but we also drop our hips too far. So we keep the swing kind of below the bra line, right? And we keep it bunched up. If you spread it out, it doesn't work. Okay. It just goes, and so gravity has its way, okay. Right? And then we use our arms, or pull down with your lats. Either way, right? Do you feel the difference? That's great. Yeah. And this will really start to change the positioning of the upper thoracics, because most people either stick their ribs out or they have their shoulders coming forward, right? And we've all seen those folks. So this actually gives them something to push against. So the lats will start engaged when we hook and hold on there. So if we were just gonna hang, let's just pick up our bottom knee, okay? So now we can feel our leg is more engaged, right? Okay? So the foot can totally be relaxed, but the leg's engaged. So let me show you when the foot has to be engaged. So just get fancy and change to the arch of the foot. See if you can do it with your other foot. We could always use our hands. Okay, so now my foot has to be engaged. And then I'm engaging through my leg even more. Okay, if I don't engage, then my foot can just pop out, which is kind of fun too, but only if we need to do it. Okay, so this is when your foot would need to be engaged. This is why I figured I'd just show you. This is when the foot can be relaxed. Right? And then this is, like, as we move closer to the center point of our body, we can always use our hands too. I'm just playing as we can. So now the whole bottom leg is relaxed, right? So we wouldn't want the foot to really be working here unless we went to go do a hamstring stretch and we were actually going for that leg through the back of the body. So where were we when you were asking that question so I could answer more specifically?
Just as our feet are in, I didn't know if, you know, we needed to.
Very good. Yeah, so let's come back into chilaxin for just another breath to really get a feel for it. And this is really good practice because if we master the basics, everything else will come really simply. So drop your hips even more. So if you, yeah, but get the heart open. Yeah, there you go. It's going to be a fun little game in the body to get more space by actually tractioning, by using gravity, and staying engaged in the parts that need to be engaged, which in this pose, it's only the upper body.
Yeah.
Now, I can engage my knees by pressing down one at a time, not the hips, leave the hips. Yeah, there you go, good. Just see if you can find it. Now, I'm only engaging the knee to create the swagger, and then I'm back to relaxed. And these are things we'll get more into in the training part. Usually, I have really beginner people in the workshop, so we just basically walk them through some sequences, but we'll go a little further today because we can. And then get that really big arch in the upper thoracics, but keep the hips low. Really good. And then support the head again. Now notice with the head supported, now the upper body and the lower body are pretty much completely relaxed. Can you feel in this pose? It's completely restorative. Until we went into, this is a bigger pose, this is the freeze frame. So when we went into freeze frame, now the arm's working, and then if we want to go even deeper, we would engage the legs. So I was showing you the more relaxed version with the floating pigeon. But now you can feel, so go to the same direction as me, so switch sides. So yeah, there you go. So mirror me, that's good. So now I'm pushing like a diagonal with my body and I'm more engaged, but then I'm letting my lower hip relax. So there's gonna be this play between those two to create the maximum space and length, and let's just freeze frame to the other side to even it out.
So what are you calling it?
Freeze frame? Yeah, so freeze frame. So I made up all the names and sequences to be silly and funny. So I call it freeze frame because you're trying to like freeze
Yeah.
Freeze.
Okay.
Like take a jumping picture,
Yeah.
quick.
Hold on. It's like the momentum wants to pull you back, but we're kind of freezing off to the side. Yeah, so drop your bottom hip even more. Yes, now push your top hip towards me. There you go. And then let your right ribs rotate down towards the ground. Yes, now you got the diagonal going. There you go. And there's many different ways to do it. So I call it aerial yoga play to give us, let's come back to chillaxing while I'm explaining the name. So aerial yoga play, like I came up with the particular program before aerial yoga got really popular. So now I'm going to change it to AYRX, AYRX, for the more therapeutics version. But aerial yoga play will continue on as the sibling of the quantum playground. So the quantum playground is infinite ways to play. Play structures and sacred geometry portals and monkey bars and yoga swings. So that's the whole collection. So the yoga swing is just one tiny portion of the quantum playground, and aerial yoga play is really giving people more time to explore and to experience the body than the rigidity of a normal yoga class where there's like a right or wrong. You know, you can see when you're moving in multidimensional space, there's so many pivot points and so many places to explore that there is more than one way to do something. I'll just look for like maximum length and engagement as well as spaciousness and relaxation in a pose. And that would be what I would call the quote-unquote correct way to do it. But you'll see when we move through it that there's actually so many variations that you can do that's based on your own body's needs. And so I give people lots of time to play. And so, plus it's really fun. I mean, the body naturally wants to play, right? So let's come on out. So we're going to bring both hands around, grab for a leg loop. I pull the leg loop down at the bottom, yeah, to come out. And again, I'm walking you guys through nice and slow. We stay seated for second side. And then this is called a sumo squat. So we bring our feet as wide as our mats. Feet are pointing out about 45. Okay? And then we're just going to shift from side to side. We pull down with our lats. So the chest will rise and the back of the body like it's a wheel in the shoulders. So we're rolling up in the front and down in the back. Really good. So feet are 45 degrees and you can walk them towards me a little bit more. So forward, there you go. Perfect. That's a very wide sumo, but it's okay.
Sorry.
Like, wow.
Feels good.
Yeah, if it feels good, you're in the right place. We're shifting from side to side, but we're also creating a semicircular shape and we're shifting back to come around. Right. So now we're starting to get into more of the angular movements and circular momentum. Totally different than a normal yoga class. And when the feet are really wide like that, we can kind of shift into a lunge and then come back in the other direction. And you'll notice when your hands need a break, they'll start talking to you. So we can keep the feet wide, push the hips up towards the sky, legs stay straight, right? And then just do the jazz hands. Or you can just straighten them out overhead and give them a stretch. And release the fingers, whatever feels good. Just feel like you can give the hands a break. Just sway them around whenever you need. And then when you come down, if you want to keep that spaciousness, go ahead into a forearm press again. So hands can be at the sides if you're comfortable with that, or this is a little bit easier, right, for beginners and people like 9 times out of 10 will start to complain a little bit about that feeling until they get used to opening up the lymphatics under the arms. It's going to be incredibly sensitive. This is how we access the points for the heart and the small intestine. It's a very yin part of the body. These are the yin lines as well. So I go into the therapeutics program. I go a little bit more into the healing arts and how we can use this to heal the body because that's my specialty. But obviously we're getting into just the nuts and bolts and practicality for this training for this week. But the yin lines of the body are the inner thighs and then the inner part of the arms and of course all the way up into the chest. So the yin lines tend to be really sensitive as opposed to the yang lines, which is the back of the body, the back of the legs, the bigger muscles, you know, the tops of the arms. The yang lines can take more pressure than the yin lines, but if we do get used to that feeling and open up the fascia, and then the pressure allows for the stagnation in the lymphatic system to release, there's a tremendous amount of healing that happens with that. Yeah, so great. So just play here, shifting from side to side as we just have a nice chat about the body. Were you guys familiar with what I just said, or was that kind of new information?
It was fairly new.
It was, yeah, it was
Okay.
really new.
Yeah.
Touched
Any
on it.
questions about it? Like I said, since we can have a chat.
Yin and yang, so is that like Eastern?
It is coming from Eastern philosophy. Western medicine has similar terminology, but of course they don't do yin and yang, which is coming from Chinese medicine. Yeah, and so there's 16 energy lines in the body called meridians that are also connected to the nadis. If you're into like the yogic philosophy too.
Yeah.
And since like these swings, like I said, are brand new, I just took them out of their traveling suit. They will continue to stretch, so we can bring that up for you if it's too low. Because usually we want our hips level with our knees. So as the swing just continues to gain, yeah. So don't push the hips up to get there. We would just lift the swing.
Okay.
So why don't I go ahead and do that? Go ahead and shift back to take pressure off the arms again, and just let your arms shake out to the sides. Okay. So open it up. Let your chest right towards the sky still. So Scarlett, I'm going to have you slowly coming out so I can just use this to raise this up. And see what it's like, I call it weeping willow. See what it's like to come into a weeping willow there into the back bend. Just like, what would that mean, right?
Oh,
So
so
like if you
nice.
were a weeping willow, what would
Yeah.
you do right now? So see if you can get your arms up over your head and just kind of let them flail from side to side, like in the wind. Yeah, there you go. That's
nice.
Now you're getting a sense of how the names came about, right? Yeah. Oh, let's try this then. Okay. Give it another go. So the stool is here for us to adjust, and just keep it out of the way. Remember, I will be videotaping from the center. It's not a big deal, but it's always, yeah, perfect. Makes my life easier when I don't have to edit out the walking. Perfect. Let's all do that. So we're going to keep our feet a little wider than hip distance, and you can keep the knees bent as you go from side to side, or you can keep the legs straight. Try both variations, but just allow yourself to feel the freedom in the upper body. You might notice that you need a little support for the neck, so you can do that and switch off from side to side. But again, just get familiar with the material, get familiar with the swing and the practice, and make it your own. Just have some fun with it. There you go. But again, what would a weeping willow feel like if its branches were flowing in the wind? And so this is momentum. So I originally created this program to teach physics through play. So contemplation, or the quantum playground, is teaching physics through play. Yeah. So push back a little bit more too. I mean, you're doing great, Scarlett, but just try it that way too. There you go, because it's like a diagonal. Yeah, leaning back. Perfect. Yeah, it should feel really good, right? And then switch off to see what it's like to support the head and neck. So yeah, so I'll talk to you about pivot points and leverage and angular momentum, and we're obviously experiencing gravity. So one of the greatest forces that we have to work with is gravity. So gravity is one of the most overlooked and yet most obvious forces or powers that we are engaging with on a day-to-day basis. It makes the blood pump through the body. When astronauts go to space, they have some issues with their metabolism, and their digestion, and their immune system, and their circulation, because, oh, gravity is what pumps energy around the body. And most people see gravity as like like it's compressing them.
Yeah.
But the thing is we can use gravity to move energy in the body, and we can use gravity to open us up, and also to create more strength and more power for us to access. That looks great. Does that feel a little bit better?
Yeah.
Cool. Let's actually start to engage. And so when we get into our inversions, we'll really get a sense of how gravity is going to help us open up the body. And even though we're doing it now, because gravity is starting to lengthen the spine out of the pelvis. But it's really obvious when we're upside down. So I call these the yoga translations because they might be familiar to some people. I'm going to wait for you guys, and we're all going to go in the same direction, so let's go to the right. It's synchronized swim, I call it, as opposed to bumper cars. We shouldn't bump into each other. So I'm in a lunge, right? But I'm not in a traditional lunge because I'm letting my knee go further over my toes than normal. And I'm not standing up into it, I'm just sitting into it, right? But notice if you sit into it and then you push your hips forward, you get this incredible stretch through the groined area. And so my foot's on the ground, it's okay for it to be up, but you can notice this is almost like a warrior